I'd call on the Minister now to make a brief statement if he so wishes and introduce his advisers. Minister.
I thank the I thank the Chair for the invitation. I've been joined at the table by David Coltman, who is the Chief Executive of TAFE SA. Directly behind me, I have Claire Fazshak, who is the Director of Further Education and Pathways within the Department for Education. To her right is Rick Pearce, the Chief Executive, and behind her is Chris Bernardi, the Chief Financial Officer. Again, as educators across South Australia who've worked very hard throughout the year in what has been very trying and unusual circumstances, so too has been the people who work for our I was going to say young people, but it is young people and older South Australians, seeking skills training through the TAFE SA organisation, and I thank them for their efforts in an extraordinarily challenging year.
Lead Speaker for the Opposition, did you wish to make an opening statement?
Just to echo the Minister's words, Chair, and thank all those people working in the TAFE sector as well for the difficult circumstances under which they have been asked to carry on this year, and thank them for that.
Thank you very much. I now call on members for questions. The member for Wright.
Thank you, Chair. Minister, Budget Paper 4, Volume 4, page 92, under Targets. Can the Minister rule out any further closures to TAFE campuses?
I can advise the committee that there's no expectation of closures of TAFE campuses.
Thank you, Minister. Same budget line, Minister. Can the Minister rule out any further cuts to TAFE courses?
I can provide some general information about course delivery. So in relation to government-funded courses, the government is committed to building the VET market in South Australia to ensure access and choice. TAFE SA is an important part, the biggest part, a very critical part of that market as the public provider. Training profile decisions are made by the TAFE SA board based on a range of factors, such as student demand, employer and industry need, and the purchasing minister's directions and priorities. It's vital that we have a vibrant training market in South Australia that provides a skilled pipeline of workers for existing and emerging industries. This has never been more important as we navigate a skills-led economic recovery from the impacts of COVID-19. I'm advised that TAFE SA regularly analyses the courses on its scope of registration to ensure that the training it delivers is of high quality and this is really important, meeting the needs of current and emerging industries. There's no point in training people for jobs that no longer exist. This is the hallmark of a quality relevant training provider, and in 2021 TAFE SA is pivoting its training profile to respond to need. TAFE SA is going to be transitioning selected metropolitan courses in business and community services, expanding its regional delivery, increasing its education and training in regional areas, apprenticeships and traineeships, foundation skills, and supporting the growth of VET in schools. Both TAFE SA and the registered training organisations that aren't TAFE SA continue to play an important role of skilling South Australians into the future. TAFE SA is providing public VET learning opportunities aligned to South Australia's workforce and economic needs to equip the students of today with the skills for tomorrow. The government's priority in delivering high-quality training for students and businesses while delivering value for public money and more choice for South Australian career seekers and those undertaking vocational education training is important. We are committed to supporting TAFE SA and all providers in the state to offer the skills and training opportunities for our current emerging industries and for students that seek employment and future careers in those industries. So TAFE SA is moving out of a couple of market segments that have significant provider depth, characterised by a number of RTOs with capability and capacity to deliver more training in the publicly subsidised contestable market, significantly often non-government providers, not-for-profits in particular. I'm advised that the changes that have been identified have no impact to continuing students at TAFE SA. All current students enrolled in studying are not affected and will be supported to complete their studies at TAFE SA. TAFE SA will continue to work through any changes with their staff, as TAFE SA will continue to have an important role in delivering vocational education training across SA. Now, as I said before, there's no intention to close any campuses, according to the advice I have, and indeed TAFE SA will continue to identify opportunities and initiatives to ensure that those campuses are used to support the skilling of students in South Australia. TAFE SA is going to continue to provide quality and industry-linked training for South Australian students, employers and industry, and I thank the board for all of the work they're doing in supporting David and his executive team.
Member for Wright.
Thank you for that answer, Minister. And again, on Budget Paper 4, Volume 4, page 92, and I refer to your answer there in which you said there is no point training people for jobs which no longer exist. And note that 3 of the 20 TAFE courses that were recently announced to be no longer being offered by TAFE include Certificate 3s in Early Childhood Education and Care, Individual Support Disability and Individual Support Ageing. And wonder if you could advise the committee about whether or not enrolment demand for those Certificate 3 courses was going up or down?
Well, I think that in relation to the courses, and I can stand to be corrected if I'm wrong, but that would probably be relevant to the part of my answer where I talked about TAFE SA moving out of market segments with significant provider depth, characterised by a number of RTOs with capability and capacity to deliver more training in the publicly subsidised contestable market.
Thank you, Chair. My question, Budget Paper 4, Volume 2, page 90. Can the Minister advise the committee how TAFE SA is leading skills training for our defence and cyber industry?
I thank the member for the question, and of course areas where we need TAFE SA to be really, really strong, areas of growing need for the South Australian community, and our strategic investments and the strategic opportunities we see for South Australia in the future, in our defence area, in our cyber area in particular, are really, really strong. So in the last year, I think there's a couple of things that TAFE SA can be really proud of, and the government is very proud of the work that David and the team have done in defence and cyber. Defence, shipbuilding, digital technology, cyber security industries, and partnerships that have been built. These partnerships will continue to grow. So, for example, TAFE SA is working with BAE Systems Australia to deliver ASC Shipbuilding's new Shipbuilding Readiness Training Program. The ASC Shipbuilding has recruited school-based trainees for a Certificate 2 in Engineering. TAFE SA has commenced delivery to trainees in mid-July 2020 at the TAFE SA Regency campus. ASC Shipbuilding will transition suitable candidates into a school-based apprenticeship program in 2021. In partnership with Flinders University, TAFE SA has begun online delivery of 2 topics, Design for Manufacture and Microcontrollers, Embedded Systems and Industry 4.0 for 51 students in Flinders University's Diploma of Digital Technologies. The students are current employees in the naval shipbuilding industry. The 2 topics have vocational education and training units of competency embedded within them, making the Flinders Diploma a unique hybrid educational product for South Australia with higher education and vocational education elements combined. In relation to the Naval Shipbuilding College, TAFE SA provides consulting and staffing services to NSI Australia Party Limited, which runs the Naval Shipbuilding College, under a fee-for-service arrangement. 3 TAFE SA staff are currently working full-time in the NSC's Training Services Division and provide advice to the Divisional Manager on vocational education courses and training solutions for naval shipbuilding workforce requirements. I'd like to talk about the Australian Research and Education Submarine Project, also known as ARES, which is an aptly named title for followers of Greek mythology. The TAFE SA is engaged with the Australian Research and Education Submarine ARES project led by the University of Adelaide and supported by the Defence Innovation Partnership. The ARES project aims to perform research into submarine hydrodynamics and hydroacoustic while providing Australia with a free-running model of a submarine. TAFE SA Defence Industries and Engineering staff are providing advice during the design phase of the submarine on fabrication techniques and the capability to manufacture using standard workshop equipment. In relation to the South Australian Defence Industry Leadership Program, or SADILP, it's a collaboration between the Defence Teaming Centre, executive mentoring company Heavy Point and TAFE SA to train emerging leaders in the defence industry. Participants undertake both accredited and non-accredited training, activities, workshops and industry mentored activities. The accredited training component awards successful participants with either a diploma or advanced diploma of leadership and management. SADILP is widely considered, we need to get a new name for this. SADILP is widely considered the preeminent leadership program for emerging leaders in small to medium enterprises in the defence industry in South Australia, and now boasts an alumni of over 250 graduates. TAFE SA has recently partnered with Odyssey Australia, a South Australian specialised engineering company, to develop a virtual reality ship engine room for training in 3D computer-aided design, engineering and fabrication. In relation to cyber, which I know is an industry of particular interest to the member for Davenport, given his experience in small business in the IT sector, and the number of times he and I have discussed this area is significant in the last year and a half or 2 years. TAFE SA, in conjunction with the Department for Innovation and Skills and the Department of Premier and Cabinet, is working with the Office of Commissioner for Public Sector Employment on strategies for government agencies to recruit cyber trainees. The first intake of 22 cyber trainees under these arrangements commenced in semester 1 this year, and regular intakes of trainees are occurring throughout semester 2. There has been continued development of the Advanced Diploma of Cyber Security in collaboration with a national network of TAFE institutions, including TAFE Queensland, the Canberra Institute of Technology, TAFE NSW, Box Hill Institute, and a number of others. As a member of the National TAFE Cyber Network, TAFE SA can co-develop training resources and learning materials to benefit South Australian students and benchmark training against national best practice. Finally, the Microsoft Traineeship program for Certificate 4 in Information Technology was launched in July 2019. This program is a bespoke qualification with Microsoft certifications embedded into course delivery. Intakes occurred in October 2019 and April 2020. These areas are really important. These areas are areas where employment growth in South Australia is going to be demonstrably significant in the years ahead, and not just in the distant future. Next year, and the year after, and the year after. Students with these qualifications will be getting jobs. These are great careers. These are exciting careers. These are careers that will last, and I'm really pleased with the work TAFE is doing, and indeed working with our schools through the Pathways Unit in Education to encourage more of our young people, and indeed older workers who want to retrain, to be thinking about future careers in these areas.
Member for Wright.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Minister, for that information. If I could move to Budget Paper 4, Volume 4, page 95, under Activity Indicators. Has an investigation been carried out into the bungled email that was sent to more than 2,100 prospective TAFE students earlier this month, incorrectly advising them that they had been successful in gaining a place in their desired course at TAFE?
I'll ask, you'll understand that some of the briefings that would usually take place in the lead up to estimates last week weren't able to take place. So rather than seek a new briefing from Mr. Coltman, I'll invite him to provide information directly to the committee on this.
Thank you, Minister. Yes, a root cause analysis has been undertaken into what caused the issuing of the 2,000 emails on Friday week past.
For Wright.
Thank you, Minister. Same budget line. Who conducted that root cause analysis, and what were its findings?
It was conducted by staff within TAFE SA, and what was identified was that in haste, an incorrect email template was uploaded and sent through to the 2,000 students.
Member for Wright.
Indeed. Thank you, Mr. Coltman. Will the findings of that root cause analysis be communicated to the 2,100 or so students who received the incorrect email?
Can I suggest it's something that TAFE is prepared to do, potentially either directly or make it public? And I think if there's any students who would like an explanation, then when we have that further information, either public or direct to them, one way or the other, they'll get the information.
Thank you, sir. Minister, Budget Paper 4, Volume 2, page 90. Can the Minister advise the committee how TAFE SA is particularly supporting our regions? And Minister, do you have any acronyms for any of those programs in the regions?
Thank the member for the question. I'm going to take the second part of the question as a very amusing comment, given some of the significant level of acronyms that we've been dealing with today in this sector. Particularly important, though, is the first part of the question about supporting regional South Australia. And TAFE SA has a really important role there in providing vocational education and training opportunities to regional communities. In 2019-20, 36% of TAFE SA students lived in regional areas. There are a number, of course, of those students in metropolitan Adelaide who were from the regions. Some of them would have commenced their training in the regions and then continued in metropolitan Adelaide. Regional South Australia is very well represented in TAFE's students. In regional locations, there were 259 courses delivered to 16,809 students. In order to grow regional enrolments, TAFE SA undertook significant marketing activity in regional areas in 2019-20, including via regional media outlets and via statewide digital and traditional channels. For students with a regional home postcode, the three most heavily accessed qualifications were Certificate 2 in Automotive Servicing Technology, Certificate 3 in Electrotechnology Electrician, and Certificate 3 in Early Childhood Education and Care. TAFE SA's educational staff travel across regions and between campuses and learning sites, including workplaces and community venues to support its regionally based students and regional communities. As at 15th of October, 20% of all TAFE SA staff were based in regional South Australia. In 2019-20, TAFE SA invested in major infrastructure upgrades, providing access to high-quality training facilities and services. Major infrastructure replacement and improvement projects included the Mount Barker Campus Student Hub and Community Library Learning Resource Centre. So in January 2020, TAFE SA completed an upgrade to the Mount Barker TAFE SA Student Hub and, in collaboration with the Council, reconfigured the Community Library Learning Resource Centre. At Murray Bridge, the Learning Innovation Hub, the project was undertaken in collaboration with the Murray River Study Hub, the Murray River Council, and partly funded through the Commonwealth's Building Better Regions Fund. The Learning and Innovation Hub provided regionally located students access to higher education options, and that was completed in April 2020. And the third one is the Digital Efficiency Program in Mount Gambier. TAFE SA undertakes annual reviews and improvements to its digital infrastructure to ensure efficient and effective systems. The Digital Efficiency Program aligns with TAFE SA's strategic goals by providing a combination of fit-for-purpose, cost-efficient physical and virtual assets, improving access to equipment, infrastructure and venues appropriate to the teaching outcomes, delivery mode and the expectation of students, industry and educators, improving global, regional, local campus communications on campus, and supporting WHS alerts and systems, that's not a TAFE-specific acronym, and enhancing customer experience and meeting their expectations of the modern education environment. Now, regional managers across all regions were involved in many school-based activities that included career nights for subject selection, school tours on regional campuses, metro campuses tours for regional students. In October, Whyalla hosted about 40 new migrants attached to the Migrant Resource Centre in Adelaide who were looking at relocation options to Whyalla for employment. Port Lincoln campus hosted Come and Try Vet at Port Lincoln's campus for 130 Year 10 students from Eyre Peninsula schools, including Streaky Bay, Cowell, Tumby Bay, Cummins and Port Lincoln. The Berry, Murray Bridge and Whyalla campuses have hosted Try a Trade Days for local schools, with Barossa campus hosting a World of Work Day showcasing many career pathways. Mount Gambier hosted similar events over multiple days. TAFE SA was represented at the Riverland Field Days, while Victor Harbour hosted the local business association to promote the variety of courses on offer. Mount Barker hosted community open days, opportunities for locals to drop in and explore courses on offer, and the Chief Executive regularly visits TAFE SA's regional campuses. Indeed, I think he's encouraged the board in the last couple of years since he's been there to do the same. And since COVID-19, he's met with regional local government officials and councillors via Zoom, and members of Parliament too, to update them on TAFE SA activity, respond to queries of campuses. There's a range of work we continue to do in the regions, and I think that regional South Australia has an affinity with a great deal of that work. Thank you.
Member for Wright.
Minister, Budget Paper 4, Volume 4, page 92 and targets. How many courses will be provided in a modified way next year, for example, when a course is previously offered at numerous locations but will now be offered at fewer or perhaps only one location?
Yeah, look, we'll need to take that on notice. I think that it could encompass a reasonably broad range of potential adjustments, and some of those a lot of those happen in the normal course of events. And of course, as TAFE has been moving to a blended delivery model in many of its courses, because often that's what a student wants, that's what their employer wants so that they can do some of that training on site. That's potentially going to get caught up there too. And of course, COVID has had a dramatic impact on how courses are delivered. Some of it's presented challenges, some of it's presented some fantastic opportunities, enabling some courses to take place in a really positive way that might have otherwise struggled without that force to check into new delivery options. So out of an abundance of caution, I'll take that on notice so that we can provide a firm and accurate response to the member in the House.
Member for Wright.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you for your answer, Minister. Same budget line. Of the 20 courses, TAFE courses that were announced as being cancelled in metropolitan Adelaide TAFE campuses, how many prospective students were there who had expressed an interest in enrolling in those 20 courses, who are now being advised that they must seek to apply to a private provider to do that course instead?
Again, we don't have an exact number relevant here, so I'll take that on notice.
Same budget line. Sorry, Chair. Same budget line again. Thank you, Minister. Has TAFE changed its requirements in relation to the minimum number of students for a course to run?
An application of a minimum number of students going forward, which will guide a number of courses at locations. Obviously, the opportunity is also there to ensure cohorts. This is particularly in regional areas. There may be opportunities for courses that might never have proceeded to now take place, given the opportunity for some blended models.
Yeah, I've got a question from Budget Paper 4, Volume 2, page 90. Can the Minister please update the committee on the progress of the agreement between TAFE SA and the Independent Tertiary Education Council of Australia? And what response does the Minister have to those in the community who have expressed criticism about this agreement?
Thank the member for the question. This is important because I think it goes directly to some of the comments that were very unfortunately put in a misguided manner in the House in recent weeks, and certain other bits of information which tell nothing like the whole story elsewhere in the community. So TAFE SA signed a memorandum of understanding with the Independent Tertiary Education Council of Australia on the 5th of July 2019. Initiatives from the collaborative agreement include the provision of professional development opportunities by TAFE SA and access for independent providers to publicly owned resources, buildings and teaching and learning resources. The initial 3-year MOU acknowledges the intention of TAFE SA and ITECA being the Independent Tertiary Education Council of Australia, to foster potential areas of collaboration, including first, the scope of delivery offered by public and independent providers, second, access to publicly owned resources by independent providers, and third, joint professional development initiatives. Senior executives from TAFE SA and ITECA meet on a quarterly basis to further develop a benefits framework to maximise the partnership's approach. By collaborating in this way, there are fantastic outcomes for TAFE SA, for the non-government providers, and actually the most important group of people of all here, the students who are seeking to provide skills to get jobs, and the business and industry for whose workforce needs we are providing this training. So that's a fantastic approach. It's a collaborative approach. Ongoing engagement in 2019-20 included a joint TAFE SA, ITECA and Department for Innovation and Skills professional development event in 2020 for educators, and providing support for private registered training organisations, including ITECA members, to build capability to deliver cybersecurity training within the industry. This is, of course, an area where in the future we expect that we're going to need many workers filling jobs and career opportunities in that sector. And there's a fantastic program now being delivered by TAFE SA, and if others are going to start providing work in this area, then that's to the state's benefits. This has included offering of access to curriculum teaching and learning, including digital materials and facilities where possible. That's what the MOU is about. It was categorised by the Leader of the Opposition the other day as government's assault on TAFE. It was described as TAFE facilities provided to private RTOs to conduct their own training, and I don't think that that's a fair characterisation. Others have also similarly, I think, provided unfair characterisations, and I draw the committee's attention to some of the collaboration that already takes place, that's taken place for many years and is an outstanding part of the success story for TAFE SA and non-government providers. If you go to the Regency campus, you can look at ICHM and Le Cordon Bleu, which are non-government training providers, or indeed education providers, and they're working on TAFE campus next door to TAFE staff. Some of the staff, have had engagement across both, yeah? Mm-hmm. Yeah, across both. That collaboration's existed for an extended period of time. There are opportunities for our state, for TAFE SA, to significantly benefit from these partnerships, and I'm really pleased to be part of a government that is embracing these opportunities because, again, it comes back to two things. Our key responsibility is to the young people of South Australia who are seeking training for a job, the older workers seeking retraining for a job, or the workers seeking enhancement of their skills to get a job, to have a great career and opportunities. And we're also seeking to ensure that the workplace and business and industry needs of our state's employers are supported as well. And TAFE SA is a really important part of that mix, and it's great to see them working well with other providers in the market where there is a complementary benefit.
Member for Wright.
Yeah, Budget Paper 4, Volume 4, page 92, and just back to the minimum course numbers for a TAFE course to run. Could the Minister elaborate on his previous answer and tell us what those new numbers might be and how they differ from previous course numbers?
Look, it depends on the course and the location and the nature of the provision. So I don't want to provide half an answer. I'll provide the member with a full answer on notice.
Member for Wright.
Thank you, Chair. Same budget line, Minister. Can the Minister rule out that regional TAFE courses could be cancelled because a minimum number of students won't be met under whatever the new minimum course numbers is?
So TAFE SA is committed to delivering the courses that they're advertised for regional, and of course we're to provide some further colour on the same question, I'll invite Mr Coltman to provide a little bit more information.
As part of TAFE SA's regional strategy, we will be committing to deliver a range of courses across regional campuses, both face-to-face courses and also complemented by a range of digitally enabled courses. This will see the range of courses available increase and provide more opportunity for regional South Australians to engage in vocational education and training with TAFE SA.
Member for Wright.
Thank you, Chair. Still on Budget Paper 4, Volume 4, page 92, and targets. Minister, how much does TAFE estimate will be saved over the forward estimates from moving to online delivery, and what is the impact on the quality of vocational education and training provided by that move?
I'll invite Mr Coltman to respond to both of those questions.
So in relation to the question regarding the impacts on quality of moving to digital delivery, I'm happy to confirm that there is no negative impacts that we anticipate in moving to a blended or digitally enabled and supported delivery model. That contemporary form of education that allows people to access learning from wherever they are and apply it to their own learning contexts. In terms of will it provide a saving, it will provide us with the ability to offer more courses where we will be able to polysynchronistically deliver courses across the state, which means that as I'm talking to you, I could be talking to people in different locations at the same time. So that we believe will increase access and is the fundamental driver to a move to digitally enabled delivery for TAFE SA.
I can just add one thing to that. So a student in a town like Woodner, for example, that has historically had pretty low numbers of courses delivered in that campus could utilise that campus to access a course being delivered elsewhere as an example of some of that.
The It is now 5:15, which concludes the time allocated and agreed for examination of payments in relation to portfolios of TAFE